right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and this was one of the best tastings I've been to this year. Thanks to Louise Slick for putting this on and inviting me to come. As the sommelier, I will work for wine, that's right, especially when it's 12 vintages of Heitz, Martha's Vineyard, one of the most famous wines not only in Napa Valley, but in the entire world. They had a great video of the history of Heitz and Martha's Vineyard and the great wine competition that they put these wines in, and they put together 100 of the world's top wines over the last 100 years, and the 74 Heitz Martha's, one of the most famous wines in the history of California, was put in and came out in first place. And this was among, legendary wines, legendary vintages from all the first growths. And I mean, just an incredible honor to have a Napa Valley wine finish first place in a French wine competition. It happened again. That's right. The Paris tasting of 76 was the first time it happened. But, Heitz is a really unique wine. Martha's Vineyard, has a very unique bouquet to it. We started out with a 1969 vintage, which, hey, that's the year I was born, and it's nice to be able to taste that wine. That was the most unique wine on the table to me. It had this incredible mint and chocolate chip kind of notes, almost like an Australian Shiraz to the nose. Really unique and still very much alive. Had some lovely red currant fruit, some dried tobacco notes, and I keep my wines until the end of the night, and I bring 12 glasses with me to these tastings so I can go back and forth, and this wine was still fabulous. And even on the second day, still wonderful. Just amazed. It was a crowd favorite, and it had even a little smoky nuance come out on the second day. Lovely complexity. The 74 was a bit muted, showed a little bit of oxidization here, and hey, there's no great vintages when a wine gets this old, just great bottles. Still that textbook eucalyptus, some fine tannins, really soft and luscious. Even better on the second day, though. I'll tell you, if we had a good bottle of 74, it would have been the wine of the night, in my opinion. Every time I've had it, it has been. The 75, though, got a lot of votes. An unlikely hero, as maybe not considered nearly as good as the 74, but most of the tasters picked it as their favorite wine in the flight. Nice amount of earthiness to the nose, and a little bit of that mint chocolate chip, and a little Band-Aid note coming out, a little Brett maybe in this wine, the currants and red cherry fruit, tobacco spice, and some people even picked this as the wine of the night. The 77, 78, and 79 were up next, or 81 rather, and in this flight, you would probably pick the 78 as a favorite without tasting the wines, because it was such an amazing vintage for them at that time in Napa Valley. But 77, a bit lean, a little bit of peppery spice to this. This was a drought vintage, so the wine still had some tannins here, but not a lot of fruit left. One of my least favorite wines of the night, the 77. The 78 was still excellent, really pretty nose, kind of milk chocolate, sweet currant berry fruit, very smooth and silky on the tongue, light, but still had a lot of nuance. I would drink this wine up if you guys have it in your cellar. The 81, wow, what a surprising wine, because 81 not considered a great vintage in Napa. Very pleasant, though, lots of fruit still left, soft tannins, a green minty note, and lovely cigar box spice, and really drinking beautifully. One of the surprises of the night for me, and several people picked that wine as their favorite wine of the night. The 82, 85, 83 flights, 82, 83, 85. Sorry, I'm out of more order somehow. 82 still showing very good. A strong eucalyptus note here on the finish, and wonderful balance in this wine. This wine still had some tannins left, and nice fruit. I was really impressed with the 82. The 83, a bit of funk here. This wine, also one of my least favorites of the night. The fruit was a bit muted, maybe a bit oxidized. Not a great vintage, but still very pleasant with that menthol character coming through at the end. 85 Heitz. This wine still had some tannins to it, man. Wow, really strong, earthy, almost musty character when we open this up. Exotic spices, red currant, cigar box, that mint, that classic herbal kind of menthol note showing through in the finish. But that tannic and the structure you really noticed in this 85 needed a little more time to open up. Even better on the second day. I thought it was excellent. Definitely my favorite in that flight. Then the 90, the 91, and the 92. And, just knowing what I know about the 90s, a lot of winemakers will tell you 91 is their favorite vintage of all time. Well, one of their favorite vintage in the 90s, definitely. But I thought that was my wine of the night, the 91. This wine still had some lovely fruit, a lot of tannins, and, that classic eucalyptus note mixed in there. And, they say it's the clone of Cabernet, not the eucalyptus trees that are in the vineyards to give it this. But you talk to a lot of people, they say that oil from the eucalyptus does get onto the grapes, and then the grapes, of course, they crush them and turn into wine. So the 90 was a little bit lighter, so the most drinkable of this flight, but had a beautiful finish. Still had a lot of sweet fruit, really lovely balance. And then the 92, still quite young. Now, a lot of the tasters thought these young wines still needed 10 years, but this is when most people will tell you to drink your California wines. You still have a lot of fruit. There's still some tannin here. You have these wines with food. They served a nice lamb chop with this. I would imagine the best wines with the lamb would have been the 90, 91, and 92, and that's when they served it. So some nice spice and mint here at the end. All of the wines, including the 1937 port, which was not a Colheita, and usually when you think of a vintage tawny, you think of Colheita because Colheita means the harvest year, and you have to apply for status 7 years after the vintage. This was bottled in 68, so it was in wood for a long time, essentially a single vintage port and tawny in style, but this wine had that lovely toffee, that lovely date and fig notes, really exotic bouquet, and nice sweetness still, toffee on the finish, and really beautiful. Everything was awesome, very well done, including this book, which I've never seen anyone put together a book like this. Anything you ever wanted to know about the Heitz winery is in here. Bravo, Luis Lick. Great job, and wonderful wines here. The Heitz Martha's Vineyard vertical tasting at the Hollywood Wine Society. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.